Stores. Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1434, November 26, 2024. If it was Thanksgiving on this day in 1914, it was 62 degrees.
Wow.
And if it was Thanksgiving on this day in 1977, they had a low of 16 below.
How does that work?
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
This just in. It's a busy travel week. The airports will be crowded. Plan ahead. The sun rose in the east. All good news. I've said it before. It would be news if the airports and other travel hubs were quiet and thinly populated. Hoping the GL staff enjoys Thanksgiving. That's from Bert, Turkey Bert. My favorite all time, and I've told you this before, was Bob McNaney. Is that how you said it?
Bob
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah.
And he actually went on the news one night to report that a plane did not hit another plane at the airport.
Which today's news, isn't there about 3 incidents right now?
You have to be fair to Bob here.
No, I don't want to be.
All right, screw you,
No,
Bob.
it was a plane being towed out from the gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it came close to another plane that was going into the gate, but they
Rumored.
didn't touch each other.
Yeah, rumored to have touched, but
Well, no, they even had a film of it. They didn't touch each other, and that was the news. These planes did not hit each other.
Hard
so
hitting.
stop calling and asking.
So, man changes his shirt in Montana.
Bob
Yeah.
and Jim McNaney are both big fans of Garage Logic.
Oh, I know them both. One's a golf freak,
That's Jim.
yeah, and others. Where are they?
I don't know what. I ran into him at the airport. He was going somewhere. I forget where, but he's doing well.
No child in Minnesota should be hungry. Food has become the last refuge of the scoundrel Mysterians. Governor Walz announced $5 million in funding at the neighborhood house, a food shelf in St. Paul, as he joined volunteers. The funding was authorized by the American Rescue Plan Act. So we're still dishing out COVID money. And its goal is to help Minnesota food shelves amid increasing visits to food shelves and help alleviate strains on emergency food system in the state. Tribal nations and American Indian food sovereignty grantees will also receive support from the new funding. Officials say that the Department of Children, Youth, and Families will partner with the Food Group, a nonprofit organization based in Minneapolis, to distribute funds to Minnesota food shelves. Okay, this is great. We don't want people to be hungry, but let's watch that $5 million like a hawk, shall we?
Right.
I mean, you're going to dish it out to the nonprofits who say they're funding the food shelves. Why not bring them food and then have the receipts for the food you purchased?
Right.
I guarantee you the money's already gone.
It's gone.
She gone?
Yeah.
She gone.
And I think they probably skimmed 2.5 right off the top.
It's just.
See, I want to mention this because you might want to be making some plans for Christmas.
I am.
Our friend Stephen C., the Garage Logic piano player, but one of the world's great piano players, he's returning to the cathedral.
Is he bringing that big piano?
Yep, December 12, 13, and 14. And this is a big deal. In fact, it's getting to be a bigger deal. Oh, there are Christmas markets now. Did you know that, Rook?
Yes.
At the cathedral?
There are Christmas markets. There's one downtown St. Paul at Union Depot. And they just added one in, I believe, Minneapolis.
Well, you can feature Christmas Together with Stephen C. at 7 p.m. Thursday, December 12, and Friday, December 13th, and 11 a.m. matinee on December 14th. That's a Saturday. The tickets range from $12 for general admission to $100. Put you right up there in the front pew. Go to Eventbrite. That's one word, Eventbrite. The European grandeur of the cathedral provides a fitting setting for the charming centuries-old custom of a Christmas market. They're going to have a market at the cathedral.
I'm looking it up right now.
Joe Johnson said that. He's the rector at the cathedral.
I don't understand what you mean, market.
The Christmas markets run 5 to 9 p.m. Thursday and Friday.
At the cathedral.
And noon to 7 p.m.
What are we selling? Soap and lettuce?
Have you ever been to a Christmas market?
No, I don't even know what it is.
Well, you get the mulled wine and you get
you can get that downtown at the
roasted chestnuts, which aren't very good, by the way. I always thought they'd be really good, and I tried them, and I didn't like them.
Tastes like potpourri.
Well, they're not crunchy. They're soft.
Here's
I
what
thought they'd be like a nut.
Oh,
but they're
yeah,
soft.
I can't. No, we can't do
But
soft.
you can get little knickknacks and Christmas ornaments and things like that at a Christmas market.
Marketplace
They're very
tents.
big in what you call your Germany.
Hey, can I ask you, Catholics, a question? Isn't there a story in the Bible about Jesus throwing the market people out of the temple?
No, those are the money changers.
Oh.
Those are the bankers.
This is a totally different deal.
Totally different deal.
Completely.
Not okay.
Plus, it's outside of the cathedral.
And drinking,
in
that's
the
okay?
backyard.
Bottoms up? Cheers.
Well, that
He
mulled
turned
wine.
water into wine, man.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I'm asking.
Vendors will be selling a variety of locally made gift items, food, drinks, including beer and hot mulled wine known as glühwein.
Yep.
Variety of food trucks parked alongside Dayton Avenue, a warming tent for a comfortable place to enjoy concessions, or enter a raffle to win items from local merchants.
But then,
Now, would I be invited?
Yes.
I'm not a Catholic, but this sounds like something I would love.
We'll even
actually.
take Mr. Fallen Away sitting next to you over there.
Let's start with
May I finish this? May I finish
Please,
this?
by all means.
In conjunction, of course, are these great concerts by Stephen C. And
What a combo.
they are fantastic. He'll have a new piece. He'll have a Christmas fanfare written both for piano and organ. And he's going to have, he commissioned an in-demand composer and arranger, Adi Yeshaya, to compose a special musical tribute to this concert series tradition. It's called Cathedral Christmas Fanfare. Yeshaya built his highly esteemed musical reputation through his high-profile work for Prince, Whitney Houston, Lena Horne, Debbie Duncan, and performances featured on The Voice. So I'm telling you, when Stephen C. throws a concert, it's pretty good. Now, he said in a note, I have a note he included. Where the hell's the note? God dang it.
Careful
have
here.
the note.
We're
I don't
talking
have-
Christmas.
I said, oh, dang it.
Okay.
I can't find the email, but he's hoping that maybe Pat
It's at the
Donahue
bottom of
will
the
be
pile.
part of this and the whole deal.
It's always at the bottom of the pile.
So it's not. And for some reason, I've misplaced it. But there
Well-
you go. December 12, 13, and 14. Go to Eventbrite.
Which date, which night, which day are we all, as a show, going to go down there?
Probably the 13th, huh?
I don't know. The CP always goes. Here's the
It
note.
looks festive.
He just donated to Schoonover, he tells me. All right. Wife Jillian hit a deer, and yep, we're heading for Schoonover. Be great if cousin Pat Donahue and I could be in studio again with John Haidt. We are flexible. Maybe December 9 or 10. Would you be up for that, John, to come down?
Certainly.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Be a blast.
That's almost an annual Christmas event on this show.
I'm telling you.
All right, let's do it. I'll keep this email aside and contact Stephen C., and we'll book it for the 9th or 10th, and John Haidt will come down with his guitar. I'm looking forward to that.
Be a blast.
Elon Musk.
What do you want to know?
He's a 3,000-year-old time-traveling alien
I did not know that about him. He looks so young.
who assumes different identities.
Well, now that makes sense.
Yeah, that
Unfortunately,
explains a lot.
the source for this is the UK Sun, which is a ridiculous tabloid, but I thought it was worth mentioning because apparently Musk has tweeted that he's a 3,000-year-old time-traveling alien. SpaceX head honcho sparked amusement from his fans when he claimed to be a time-traveling vampire alien. In one post, the richest man on Earth claimed he was tired of assuming other people's identities over the centuries. The Tesla owner has made a habit of amusing himself and others in the process with some wild statements
Yeah, I'll say.
on social media. I would call this one a wild statement. Musk's first post set live at nearly 2:30 a.m. Eastern. May I pause for a moment? Is that all this guy does is tweet? How does he get? How does he build rockets and get cars done?
He's got people.
All he does is tweet. He's on it all the time.
He is on it all the
Wasn't
time.
one of the Bond villains never slept? He was always up?
Yeah.
I think he's a Bond villain.
Ooh. A time-traveling Bond villain. That's the worst kind.
Musk's first post, set live at 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time, was a meme that claimed his neighbor was knocking on his door at 2:30 this morning, adding, "Luckily, I was still up playing my bagpipes." What the hell?
I think he said that just to piss you off.
I know. You know, he has 200 million followers?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I've got him blocked on Twitter, and for some reason I still see his tweets. Why is that, Joe?
wonder why Blocks
that
you.
would be.
He claims to have been a 1914 fighter pilot. Well, he's just having fun, isn't he?
I think he might.
I think he's pulling a Royce. He's just poking his...
He's James Thurber.
Yeah.
He's pretending he's in various wars and what have you. And full disclosure, he tweeted, "I'm actually a 3,000-year-old vampire. It's such a trial assuming these false identities over the centuries." Okay, thank you. That's wonderful. But again, that's from no, this might even be from the Daily Star, which is worse than the Sun.
So I have a question, and you missed this. It went right by you. Musk has a neighbor that is so close to him that he can hear his bagpipes?
Well,
Where's he living?
You're making the presumption that was true. I think what he's doing is he's going on Twitter and having a bit of a laugh.
having a
So
laugh.
you're not the sucker here. I'm the sucker.
That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds
Just another day in my
it
life.
sounds to me like you fell for it.
I guess I did.
Yeah. How is everybody today?
I'm a sucker.
Good.
Yeah. Is deer hunting season done?
Muzzleloading season starts on Saturday, Joe.
And
We're
that's where you
ramping
go out with
up
the
again.
blunderbuster?
Yeah, we're gonna go out and bag a big buck.
Can a blunderbuss bring down a deer?
Well, if it's in with my muzzleloader, as long as it's within 50 yards, yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
I don't have any faith in that thing at 100 yards, so I don't pull the trigger in those instances.
Did you guys see the turkey that's out in the other room, in the green room? The trophy.
I did.
Keith Hisdall's trophy in White Bear Lake made the trophy. But
looks-
nobody get near it because if you turn it on, it makes turkey noises.
Oh, really? I did not get that far.
Nice.
There's still time to vote. I believe you have until 10 a.m. tomorrow to vote for the Center of the American Experiment Golden Turkey Award, which will be unveiled here tomorrow. And wait till you YouTube viewers get a shot of this trophy. This is a big league trophy.
Yeah.
And we'll turn it on at that point. You'll be able to hear it at that point.
Is it like a Tesla with the fart noise? Does it have a fart
No,
noise?
it's
Just a
better than
turkey
that.
noise?
It's
Okay.
better than that.
Okay.
And going forward, all winners will have their names permanently engraved on the trophy. And by winners, I think that means the ridiculous spending that was cited
Got
as the
it.
winner. And right now, that could be anything. That could be the new state flag, DEI employees, National Loon Center, Dungeons and Dragons podcast, or whatever's going to show up. That winner will be announced. Bill Walsh is coming in tomorrow. Right at the beginning of the show, we'll announce the winner of the Golden Turkey Award, and then Walsh can haul this trophy back to the Center of the American Experiment, and the winning choice will be engraved on the turkey. Check out that website every day, centeroftheamericanexperiment.org.
the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
Seafoam works long after you'd think it wouldn't be working. How in the wide world can it work after almost 2 years? Is this some sort of weird medieval witch's brew concoction for our cylinders? Why am I asking you?
Yeah.
Here's the story. The spring of 23 is when the big bastard MTD snowblower was stuffed into the cylinder shed, all wet and disheveled. And I can't even believe that thing fired up over the weekend, was running like it had just ran the day before. That's all the fault of Seafoam. Seafoam is to blame. That's why we should always have a couple, 2-3 cans of Seafoam in stock. And it's why you should occasionally give that daily driver a shot or two. It's why companies with fleet vehicles should add it to their bulk tanks. It works on all kinds of engines. It doesn't matter if it's a single banger, a one longer. Yeah, that's what they call them.
One longer.
Yeah, one longer, yeah. Or, a V12. It works. It doesn't matter if it's gasoline, doesn't matter if it's diesel. Buy the Seafoam, treat the cylinders. You won't be disappointed. And you can buy this stuff by the can, or if you do run a fleet of vehicles, you can order it in bulk. All you have to do is swing over to the website, seafoamworks.com. You'll find all the information you'll ever need about the various uses of Seafoam and all the Seafoam products. A local company with a global reach, and truly a wonderful product in a world of bad gas. Our best friend, Seafoam.
Speaking of the center of the American experiment, here's a piece by Tom Stewart. I'll need help understanding it because I have some questions. This could be true the closer you get to the country's tallest buildings. How out of touch are elected officials in St. Paul? First, they successfully lobbied state legislators to scrap a long-standing law shielding Xcel Energy customers in the city from paying higher utility franchise fees during the winter. As the Pioneer Press pointed out, the consumer protection law had been on the books for decades. Utility companies pay the city for the right to access the public right-of-way and their wires. I can tell you about that in a moment. The utility companies pay the city for the right-of-way access for their wires, pipes, and cables. But until recently, the city of St. Paul was barred by state statute from collecting franchise fee revenue for electricity and gas during the high-usage winter months. That law, in place since 1979, blocked the city from collecting the fees from November through April, effectively preventing St. Paul from accessing half the residential fee revenue available to other cities. But it was recently lifted by some state lawmakers with the help of State Representative Athena Hollins and State Representative Fong Harsh, two DFLers in St. Paul. St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter immediately proposed adding the franchise fees to the residents' November and April utility bills at a cost of roughly $35 a customer. City officials were giddy at the prospect of having to give up. St. Paul city officials were giddy at the prospect of having up to $4.5 million in additional revenue to spend on new climate action coordinator.
Let that sink in for a while. Can you believe that? That's evil, Joe.
Well, of course it is. But who's getting... Right now, as a resident of St. Paul, I haven't been paying what? I haven't been paying a fee to allow Xcel to access my backyard.
It's a franchise fee that they don't charge you in the winter, recognizing the fact that you're already paying more for, I'm assuming, natural gas.
Right.
And everything in the winter.
Well, excuse me for being a moron. Why does the city suddenly believe it can put its hands on $4.5 million? Because that's what Xcel has to pay the city?
That's a good question.
Yes, you in the back.
Hi. No, so it's not Xcel would. Yes, correct. They collect that money from April to November, and then November to April they stop collecting that fee. They charge that fee to Xcel to put. The boulevard is technically owned by the city, and so when they put their wiring and everything in there, they are paying. Xcel is paying for that right, and so. Half the year we collect it, half the year they don't. The other half of the year we are now going to collect it, and they think it will be more because, of course, the bills are higher in the winter. So they will now have even more money to spend. Yes.
That's pretty much what I said.
That law in
I'm
place
still
since
confused.
1979 blocked the city from collecting fees in November through April. That prevented St. Paul from accessing half the residential fee revenue available.
So there's two evils in place here, Joe. It's the evil that was done when they lobbied state legislators to scrap that law, shielding us. And then the second evil, they're creating another office, and this is how they're funding it.
They're funding
You can afford this.
Yeah.
You can afford this, Joe, but many people in St. Paul cannot. And that's the problem here.
Well, since 1979, who's been getting the fees? In other words, boy, I hate to be this obtuse, but this isn't clear to me.
Can I try one more try?
Yes.
Think about it as like if you didn't pay sales tax 6 months of the year. For
Right.
6 months of the year, St. Paul wasn't collecting a sales tax, and now they will collect it that other 6 months of the year. And it's going to cost you $35. I'm not sure if it's a month or the whole 6 months.
So
The
St.
answer-
So
yeah.
St. Paul wasn't collecting
Correct.
franchise fees on city property. The
Boulevards.
homeowner was still paying a franchise fee, I gather.
No, not in the winter.
I can't. I'm not even.
No, this is easy. Both Kyle and I have explained it to you.
Thank you for
again.
telling me. We
Try
used
again.
the
It's
Jedi
a
mind trick or what?
$35 fee that you pay during the summer months that you don't pay in the winter in order to give you financial relief to pay for the higher cost of heating your home.
Okay.
The city receives the money. And the city wanted that money. They're PO'd that they're not getting that money. They convinced, they went over to the Capitol and said, hey, we need this money. The Capitol said, you're right. You do need this money. And with that money, they're paying this new office. What did you call it?
The climate change office,
Yeah, the climate czar.
climate action coordinator.
Right.
Because they just keep making up stuff. So, in other words, they need $4.5 million to create a new bureaucracy headed by a climate action coordinator.
And the people who can't afford it are the ones that are going to suffer for it.
I think it's in the council's best interest and the community's best interest not to leave any money on the table. We don't know exactly how much money we can anticipate, said Council Member Sora Jost during a November 13 council meeting. It's based on data and it's based on the types of winners we'll have, and we know that that's fluctuating significantly. The fact that the money on the table comes from the pockets of constituents is lost in the frenzy over the many options for spending it.
Yep.
Jost noted the funds could offset general fund spending to help lower the city's property tax levy or fund new initiatives. Just said impacts to low-income residents could be offset in part by the low-usage affordability credit, Xcel Energy's new program to reduce bills. At the last minute, a city councilor turned the discussion to the source of the windfall. Her council colleague, this is the least diverse city council in America, by the way, to the source of the windfall her council colleagues were already well on the way to spending, namely her hard-pressed constituents. Alarmed at the prospect of increasing residential utility bills, Council member Nelsie Yang submitted an amendment earlier this month to reduce the proposed fee structure by eliminating the changes during the month of November.
There we go. Doing the work of the people. What? Kyle's got something to say.
Could I point out that you blew past the part where she said that they were going to tax you in order to relieve you of your property tax problems?
Yeah.
Their solution isn't to spend less, it's just to tax you in a different way so you feel like you're being taxed less somewhere else.
Unbelievable.
They're not working for us, Joe. They're ruling over us. Every single one of them need to be run out of town.
Utility companies pay the city for the right to access public right-of-way for their wires, pipes, and cables. But until just now, the city was barred by law from collecting the franchise fee revenue during high-usage winter months. Okay, what happened to that fee during high-usage winter months? Did it not exist?
Right, they just didn't collect it.
They didn't collect it. Now the city wants it collected.
They need that money. Yeah.
Okay, but if I'm paying for it, the city will then get cut a check by Xcel?
Well,
No, your money is. Oh, I don't know the answer to that.
no, it's the reverse, right? They are going to charge Xcel, and then Xcel is going to pass
Charge
that cost
you.
onto you.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay,
And
so
that's-
the city is
shell
going to
game.
charge Xcel $35 a residence
Right.
with no apparently no wiggle room in there to accommodate lower income people. They'll get charged the same $35 as anybody else, right?
Depending on your usage, yes.
And then-
probably more because you probably have an uninsulated house.
And then so Xcel cuts the check to City of St. Paul, which apparently is about $4.5 million at the end of the day, and then I will see an increase in my utility bill to cover what Xcel had to pay to St. Paul. Wow. Okay, even I get it.
We got there.
It's a good thing that Walls has that $5 million in funding for food shelves, huh,
Yeah,
Joe? Because
yeah.
you're going to need it.
Yeah. I have this conversation with the younger kids I used to have. I strongly advise them to leave the city. I see no bright future for the city. They just, they live in modest houses, and they just got a 15% tax increase.
Unbelievable.
And the one family, I can understand why they won't, because everything's playing out for them based on where they live. The other family could live anywhere, and to their credit, they love urban living. They love the convenience of it, and I keep trying to tell them you that shouldn't cost you money. It shouldn't cost you. The fate of your geography shouldn't result in what you have to pay. The city is not granting you your closeness to things. That just happens to be where you live. But that's what they like. That's the virtue they like, is the convenience to both downtowns, the airport, churches, schools, grocery stores, whatever. They enjoy that. And I understand that. But at some point, I've tried to tell them, you're going to have to put the numbers on a piece of paper and figure if it's worth it to
The
you
old
to
T
pay
thing.
what you're paying for being close to Lund's. You're going to have to determine if that's worth it or not. Now, many letters to the editor in St. Paul have begun, they always have, but there's more and more showing up, outrage at the property tax increases. And I don't know what to tell people. What will it take for literally the residents of St. Paul to light torches and march on City Hall? Because it just keeps going unchecked. I do my best, as you well know, you've seen me do it, where I try to recruit people to run for office. I'm too old, but I go to the 40 to 50-year-old crowd of successful people, white, black, men, women. I say, you need to really consider this if you want the city of St. Paul to survive. All these people in there now must be replaced. They're not competent. They've never done anything meaningful in their lives except rule you. We need to turn that around. And I'm not successful in my recruitment. I'm not successful.
Really sad.
They're doing too good. That's the problem.
Well, how? At what point does doing too good not mean anything more if doing too good is not enough?
They won't notice unless one or both of them lose their jobs, and then they have to really look at what's coming in and what's going out. And when they can cut everything, they'll cut cable. They'll set the thermometer.
But do you really think
lower.
do you think that's a fair way to live? So Carter can employ 400 cabinet members
no,
and
God,
keep
no.
creating climate change offices?
Absolutely,
That's not
no.
a fair way for the resident to live.
As far as I'm concerned, this is a crime. What they're doing.
This is an outrage. This is theft. As far as I'm concerned, this is theft.
Do you
criminal.
think that they'll be safer or better off in one of the suburbs, though?
Are we
Because-
talking now physical safety?
No, I'm talking financial safety.
Yes.
Because
it'll catch up, but they'll have a few years.
Right. You move out to Roseville and, first ring suburb.
Or
You're
Dakota County.
Yeah.
I don't think Washington County's any bargain, but Dakota County, look at
We got some nice digs in Inver Grove Heights. South
Ramsey
St. Paul.
County is going to become unsustainable. St. Paul is very close to being Detroit right now.
Holy
Hennepin
jeez.
County will be unsustainable. Those are the facts. By unsustainable, I mean the middle kid I got that I used to have and her husband and their kids. They're going to wake up one day and they're going to say, "That's it. We can't do this anymore.
We got our number.
We've reached our number." And then what they have to do is hope that their house would sell. But St. Paul is going to lose
And
a
who's
lot
gonna
of
buy
good
it, right?
young people.
Who's going to buy it when they say, "Oh my God, look at these property
That's what I'm
taxes"?
saying. They'd have to hope their home would
I don't
sell.
see that you're safe or better off anywhere in this state. Your best bet is Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, fundamentally, your home taxes are like $2,000 less if you just move to Egan, right? Like city tax, that doesn't even count county tax. A square footage house at the same value is $5,000 in St. Paul. It's $3,000 in Egan, or $2,500 in South St. Paul because they don't have infrastructure. So.
Here, Kyle and Joe, here's my argument. The state legislators that allowed St. Paul to scrap this long-standing law, they're in charge. They're in charge of all of us, and they did it for St. Paul. They'll do it for any city that asks. They are not working for us.
Why would, let's get the names of these two council members, and then I have a question for you. Just bear with me, and I'll find it.
Sarah Jost.
I don't think she was one of them, although she's all for it, I think. Not Nelsie Yang. Well, I just have to quick read it again. Okay, Representative Athena Hollins.
Okay, state rep.
Oh, I'm sorry, these are state reps.
Yeah.
Okay, State Representative Athena Hollins and State Rep F-O-U-N-G.
F-O Fung.
Fung H-A-W-J.
H-A-W-J. Hodge.
Fung Haj are DFLers who represent St. Paul. Why would they turn their backs on their constituents,
On their people.
on their own people? Why would they do this to the people they represent? $35 is a lot of money to some of the people represented by Fung Haj and Athena Hollins. Why would they do that to them? To create an absolute absurdity, a climate change coordinator.
It's a robbery.
Their constituents, obviously, they're among Fu Hog or whoever.
Fung Haj.
Constituents are basically a great number of Hmong people who are very business savvy, conscious, good with their money. Why would they?
Tell me this. No, you're on the right track.
Okay.
Tell me this. Who does?
Let's see.
66B is Athena Hollins.
Okay,
which-
where is that?
that would be 61 to about Como Lake and Case to Larpenter.
Full of Asian
Okay.
people.
North of
All right,
St.
what about Fung Haj, Kyle?
I believe he's right. That's the Como. That would be then the next Como area right below Case.
Is Fung a male?
Let me look.
He is.
All right. So we're talking the Como Midway area for both of them?
Well, north of like up to Larpenteur, Case to Larpenteur. So what? Yeah, like between north of Midway to Roseville.
Okay.
Yeah. 67 is, what is this? 61 on the west side.
61 to the west.
And what street is this? This is McKnight. McKnight
no,
to
Mc-
the... I'm sorry,
McKnight-
McKnight to the east.
So he's the other side of Athena's
Okay. Okay.
district. The other side is 61 towards.
Well, whatever. They're not representing Beverly Hills.
No, that's
No. It's people that need that extra $35 every
Right.
month. That's who they're representing, and they just turned their back on them. How could they not, when these St. Paul officials walked into their office, just said, turn around, get out. Never ask me that again. Well, where's the scruples, the morals?
That's a great question, and I wonder which members of the least diverse council in America approach the legislators.
That's not in the story, and that's the question.
Well, can we assume that one of them was Nelsie Yang? No, Nelsie Yang is worried about it.
It passed 5-0 and with two not there.
Passed 5-0 to do this.
Yeah.
So all of them.
And Sarah Jost, I think, isn't she Highland?
Yeah, that's 3.
Sarah Jost. What is wrong with this woman? She's the one who said, let's not leave any money on the table. Let's get every penny we can out of these saps.
Right.
We don't know exactly how much money we can anticipate, but let's not leave any. Are you kidding me? I don't get it, because these people have to live in the city too. They have to, look.
But they have a part-time job that pays them 70, or what is the St. Paul?
I don't know what
City
they're
Council
paid.
70 to 90, and that's a part-time gig. And then they have their real jobs, so of course they can afford this.
No, many of them. Sarah Jost might actually have a job, but I can guarantee you many of them.
Mitra doesn't.
No,
Right?
they don't. This is what they do because they're not qualified to do anything else.
But our guy had a job. He was a lawyer, the last one.
So if you go to
Chris.
the two districts that those state representatives work for, and you ask every single resident how much do you care about green initiatives?
0.
Thank you.
Or if you said versus higher property taxes, which
Or
wins out?
35, an extra 35 on your energy bill. Yeah.
This is the same scenario I drew yesterday. You got a 10-year-old kid on some woe-begone third world country. He doesn't have shoes. His school is a shambles, if there even is a school. His government, though, is living in a very nice colonial-style mansion,
Well
and they have a
protected.
Rolls-Royce and air conditioning, and probably run by a generator because the 10-year-old kid's home, he doesn't have any electricity. And you go up to that kid and you say, look, about $150 million is coming to this country to be spent on so-called climate mitigation. The kids, let's make it a 15-year-old kid so he could understand. He'd say, I couldn't quote what he said, but he'd say, what do you mean? Well, your appointed governor here, your dictator, is going to make sure that you have a higher seawall or some damn thing, and the kid's going to say, could I get some shoes?
Right.
Could I get some bleeping shoes?
No. Well, no, but we will plant a tree for you.
Yeah. And now, same thing. Go to the districts of Hodge and Athena Hollins and say to the residents, look, would you want to pay another $35 so the city of St. Paul can use $4.5 million to create an office for a climate coordinator? I got to think that most of them are going to say, no, I really don't think that's important. As they're freezing with their temperature in their house set at 57 degrees to save money on their utility bill in the first place. Honest to God, we've elected the wrong people. It's the fault of the citizens. It's not the fault of the people who got elected. The people in St. Paul are asleep. They don't care. I would say the same for Minneapolis. They just don't care, and they won't care until they do. They won't care until they have to. And by then, it's too late. They won't care. If this middle kid that I used to have and her husband don't get serious about joining me and trying to recruit people to run for office. And you know what their answer was? Oh, they'd never win. I said, I'll help in every way possible. We can turn out people to help. You've
Just
got
don't
to
come on the show.
No, you can't come on the show because
Right,
you'd lose.
right.
You've got to. This is true. The closer you get to the country's tallest buildings all around the country, and there are many good people. They must run for office, and they must come to the office with knowledge of how this works. And this isn't the way it works. These people have their hand out. They know nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
They know nothing else.
No, it's more than just their handout. They're demanding the money. This country was founded fighting fees and taxes like this. Mm-hmm. That's what the Boston Tea Party was all about. That's what the revolution was all about.
What could
That's
we
the
throw in the
Declaration of
river?
Independence.
What could we throw in the river in the absence of tea?
I
The
don't
street
know that we
lights that
could.
don't work anyway?
All we could do is protest, and that's not going to get us anywhere.
No,
we
the
could stop.
only answer to this is the defeat of this ideological class by
Yeah.
people who have common sense
Yeah.
and care about their neighbors. These people don't care about me. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They only care about their own singular power.
I always
And
think about we're only 25 years away from Randy Kelly and Norm Coleman
Yeah.
being the mayor of this town.
Yeah.
Could you think of those guys being elected today?
Well, I'm betting that reasonable people can be elected. That's what I'm betting on. Thus my recruitment efforts. Let's go here.
You know, you're talking about how they don't care about us. I would even add that they don't care about the climate. They care about the money that the climate fight generates.
Right. The climate,
Convenience.
there is no problem with the climate. This is a money grab, whether it's in Baku or St. Paul. All this is about money. All this is about the deconstruction of Western civilization. This has nothing to do with the climate. This gives the mayor of St. Paul another chance to bloat the city government to an unrecognizable and unsustainable size. It's pathetic. It's theft, as far as I'm concerned. Outright theft.
Well, how did Fong get so off track? Born in Laos, father was a military diplomat overseeing air deliveries of humanitarian cargo in Vietnam. His mother, an uneducated country girl, learned to operate a pharmacy in Ban Dong City. He grew up during the Vietnam War, lived in refugee camps, received his BA in Media Arts and Computer Science from the University of Kansas in '90, and his MS in Applied Science and Technology from the Rochester Institute of Technology in 2001.
I have
Hard
a
worker.
question.
Go ahead.
What's he do for a living?
Small business owner.
What's that mean?
I'll keep looking.
My question for you, Matthew, is you said these folks, the Hmong, are very business and money orientated. Do you think that they're aware of this? Or do you think they're being hoodwinked? Do you think this passed so easy because these reps know that the residents and the constituents won't figure this out?
My answer is yes to that.
To me, it seems like they're getting played and they might not figure it out. But you would know, you have more contact with the Hmong than I do.
Well, I'm just saying, and that every Hmong restaurant owner, every shop owner on University, to the car guys at the garages, they're
What about the non-businessmen, the guys that go in and push a broom for a living or drive a forklift? You know what I mean? What about those people?
I guess I haven't had enough experience.
I
but
just had another thought. I believe, and you can verify this, or Kyle can verify it, or John Haidt can verify it. I bet that either Athena Hollins or Phuong Hoj represent the district that John Thompson represented. And
It
then
is over in
remember
that
our
area.
dear friend John Strominger ran, however clumsily, but he was a good guy putting his hat in the ring. I
He
think
was 67A, and Hong is the senator from 67, so it does overlap, but he didn't replace him. Yeah. Same area, same people.
so. I would say an area of terribly uninformed people. You had to be terribly uninformed to vote for John Thompson.
These people are working for a living, trying to make ends meet.
They don't have
they're
time
watching
to do.
every penny.
right. They're not worried about How green is
How green is my valley?
I guarantee you, when they go to pay their energy bills this winter, they're going to notice this $35.
I did go look up the city council members because we talked about their backgrounds.
Yeah.
Of the 7, the only experience of 4 of them is either community, equity, or political organizer.
That's right.
So that, I mean, is that a job?
In other words, they have no experience.
Exactly. 2 were teachers and 1 an engineer.
So they've never even pushed a broom or run a forklift, done anything honest.
They are among the crowd that I've always included supers in this crowd, superintendents.
Yeah.
These people aren't part of the community. You never see them. No. I'm out and about all the time at a hardware store, a restaurant, or whatever. I never see these people ever.
You don't see Betty stroll on into Mississippi
Joe,
market.
never seen her.
Joe,
Never seen her.
I see him on the freeway every morning running out of gas, and MnDOT first units have to come by and give him a splash. That's who I'm seeing.
Say, as the Christmas season draws closer, consider getting yourself to EcoFun Motorsports with the Yamaha electric bikes, so long as they last, are still on a fantastic sale price. The snow hasn't fallen yet. The parking lot is available for the test drive. This is the electric bike capital of the world, but in addition, helmets and apparel and youth recreational equipment, these really nifty little gas-powered 4x4s that a kid can drive. And they probably got monitors on them or stuff, so you don't have to be like me following the kid around
That
with a
governor's
rope.
going to be off in no time.
With a rope tied to the back of it so I can keep the kid from running into a tree. And they got snow equipment. They've got motorcycles and scooters, and it's just really a nifty store. 2 locations. It's in Forest Lake on 97, immediately west of 35, and down in Burnsville on the Service Road of Life near County Road 42. If you own lake property, you own rural property, you got a big city lot, you've got a little room to flex, man, is this the fun store for you. Get to EcoFun Motorsports, and it's a great website, ecofunmotorsports.com.
Here we go.
I need this volume over here.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
The Earth is definitely not my mom. My mom is Judith, and she's a wonderful human being. And she would be very intrigued at Minnesota Masonic Charities and their history. She'd walk through the museum and look at all the stuff they've done over the years and go, wow, this is very, very interesting. She'd probably read every single plaque they have there as well. Yes, they do have a nice museum down there, and they're wonderful. The acreage down in Bloomington, I was there several weeks ago, and they just have a fantastic facility. But better than their facility is their attitude to help people. They are not like the politicians out there. They have a good plan. And yes, they would love to have any donations you want to receive, but that's not what this is about. It's not a campaign for you to donate there. It's a campaign to learn more about MasonicCharities.org. Minnesota Masonic Charities, scholarships. They've got a podcast, and they also have a home where people can repair or choose to be at the end of their life where they're well cared for. I'll tell you what, if you call them and you have a question about the scholarships, it's online at mnmasoniccharities.org, but 952-948-6200. I'm sure the deadlines are coming around in February or January, so you might want to get on this as soon as possible. 952-948-6200. Minnesota Masonic Charities. People helping people the right way. Don't forget to tell them the Rook sent you.
Here's John Haidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. The follow-up to a story we talked about yesterday, a decision was reached last night in the debate over millions of dollars in budget cuts in the Anoka-Hennepin School District. After 3 hours of discussion, the school board passed a plan 6-0. Classroom teachers were not reduced, according to Anoka-Hennepin School District Superintendent Corey McIntyre. Corey said, in the end, we cut $14 million, $5 million in the spring, and now $9 million today at the central office. They protected cuts at the building. The board also voted to eliminate $5 million in strategic investment for the 26-27 school years. McIntyre also said Anoka-Hennepin District will start looking for funding from the state legislature.
Don't these schools establish budgets? Why can't they follow them? These stories are all too routine.
Yeah,
you have a budget, why can't you follow it?
I think a lot of them, they made the budget bigger when they got the COVID funding, and now they're trying to
This
figure out how to
COVID's been
get
more
back.
trouble than it's worth. Yes, you in the back?
Hi. In this one specifically, they had an accounting error. They counted money twice. And
No,
so
that's not true.
the Robbins, isn't that you're talking the 20
No,
million?
we're talking up in
This is
Champlin.
Anoka.
Oh.
This,
Yeah.
Anoka-Hennepin.
I should have listened.
Yes, you
My
should.
bad.
All right.
It's all right, Kyle.
You're
Nobody
fitting in
listens to
well.
me.
Fitting in well,
Hey,
Kyle.
playing Chris today.
Wait, what did you say, John?
Yeah, thanks, Kenny. The Minnesota House of Representatives will remain a 67-67 tie after a recount of a narrow House district race yesterday upheld the unofficial results. District 14B State Representative Dan Wolgamott, a Democrat, went into the recount with a 191-vote lead over Republican challenger Susan Eck. Sherburne County officials said a hand recount of 2,655 ballots resulted in one more vote being flipped from Wolgamott to Eck, far from enough to swing the race in her favor. The unofficial margin wasn't close enough to trigger an automatic state-funded recount, but Sherburne County said it offered to pay for the recount because of an election night reporting problem that prevented the full results from being displayed on the Minnesota Secretary of State website until 2 days after the election. Now, with the tied House, Democrats and Republicans will need to sort out a power-sharing agreement that could involve co-chairs from either party in all House committees, but they also have to agree on one single person to serve as House Speaker.
It's Dan Wolgamott?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he the guy caught hammered in the parking lot of a convenience store or something like that?
It's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, it is. It should be ringing a bell. Dan Wolgamott. He Democrat up there near St. Cloud. Everything's near St. Cloud. And I believe he was...
He went in,
He had a kerfuffle.
got a jug,
Yep.
and started taking nips right there in the
that's
parking
right.
lot.
Okay, I remember.
At
Yes.
the it was a liquor store, I think, right?
Well, whatever.
Liquor store parking
Yeah.
lot.
Well, we're going to vote for him, so that's good.
Well, I'll just be quiet. A 31-year-old from Kansas City was arrested Sunday in Carver after stabbing a
Trump
Fleet
doesn't
Farm
drink,
employee.
John.
A Fleet Farm employee in the neck, according to a news release from the Carver County Sheriff's Office. Deputies responded to a reported assault at the Fleet Farm around 2:06 p.m. There they found a 17-year-old store employee who had been stabbed in the neck. The girl was brought to the hospital. She was last reported to be in stable condition. Officials said the 31-year-old male suspect from Kansas left the scene before deputies got there. A witness was able to give officers the suspect's vehicle description and license plate number. Deputies later pulled the man over and arrested him. Jail records show that Gerald Hudson was booked into the jail on suspicion of second-degree assault. Authorities say as of now there is no known connection between the suspect and the employee, and they have no idea why the stabbing happened.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there, and I haven't talked to anybody, but I know exactly what happened.
Oh, okay.
This idiot, he had a can of soup, and he was in the coffee aisle, and he put the soup. He decided, you know what? I don't want this soup.
See it all the time.
He put it down in the coffee section, and this young lady said, "What the hell is wrong with you?
That's
Go
right.
put that soup back down in the soup shelf, you idiot."
Yep.
And this guy, being ashamed and narcissistic, pulled out his knife and stabbed this young lady.
Not to mention corrupt and idiotic and
Yeah, he's from Nebraska too, right?
yeah, that's
Kansas.
So,
Kansas.
Kansas. Same thing, John. Yeah, they're all the same. You know that.
Dakota County Public Health and Lakeville area schools confirmed this morning that someone at Lakeville South High School has been diagnosed with active tuberculosis. Health officials didn't state whether it was a student or a staff member, but added there is no further risk of exposure at the school. Dakota County Public Health added it has worked closely with the school district and the Department of Health to do a contact investigation and determine that most people at LSHS were not at a high-risk exposure for tuberculosis. Health officials identified a small group of people who were in close contact with the person who had the TB and will screen them if the disease spreads.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is tuberculosis contagious?
Highly, isn't it?
I didn't know that.
so.
I don't know. There's going to be a run on that iron lung at the Axeman.
What
though,
the
huh?
hell? I didn't know it was contagious.
It's a little-known fact, Joe, that menthol cigarettes fight off the virus.
Good plan.
Really? Cools. Yep.
Rosemary Clark, daughter of Mal Clark, got tuberculosis and was in the hospital for 2 years when Joe Shealy the third was born.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
You've met them. Many of
2
these people.
years.
2 years with TB in the 50s.
Oh, my insurance company would not be happy. They would say, let him die.
Known as the White Death.
The White Death.
Well, this
or
is not good.
Historically as consumption, is an infectious disease usually caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria. It affects the lungs, can affect the other parts of the body.
John, this is what Doc Holliday had,
In
right?
the movie, I was just going to say they must be lungers. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Most infections show no symptoms, in which case it is known as latent tuberculosis.
Wonderful. We all could have it.
I got tuberculosis. You got latent?
Latent.
Latent, yeah. Yesterday,
God almighty.
the state fair, staying in the news, even though it's, what month is this? November. They announced yesterday they're holding an annual one-day flash ticket sale today.
Are you kidding me?
No, the online, this is a good deal, Joe. The online flash sale is the cheapest price point for purchasing gate admission tickets. This year, tickets are $14 each during the sale, and there's a maximum of 12 tickets per order, 1 order per customer. So that flash sale is saving of at least $2 to $4 per ticket compared to regularly priced gate admission. Tickets purchased during the flash sale can be used digitally by text message or mobile download, but cannot be sent by U.S. mail. Tickets are good for entry any day of the fair, and for all people aged 5 and over. If you're planning on, getting out to see Garage Logic, the fair this year is
I wouldn't
August
count on it.
next year, August 21st to September 1st, 2020.
I really
Who
wouldn't.
thinks they're actually going to be around next
I mean, I
year?
wouldn't make any plans.
The country might not even be here.
We must have an early Labor Day next year if the fair ends September 1st, huh?
I guess so.
You're right, Joe. Whoever does promotions for the Minnesota State Fair also does promotions for the NFL. They're always in the news.
Always in the news.
Always. Off-season, doesn't matter. There's no such thing. Why don't we take a quick break here and come back with some more national and international stuff after this.
Yep.
Truth, justice, and the Suture.
Schedule a free on-site new door estimate right now with one of Precision Door MN's garage door designers. Precision Garage Door serves Western Wisconsin, the entire metro. Every GLer that knows they need a good garage door guy has put their number in their contacts. Precision Door, 612-263-6985. Not only the routine and regular maintenance your garage door needs, but if you need a new garage door, they have garage door designers. The on-site consultation is free. They have garage door models for every budget. A new door would be a great help for the beautification project, insulation, security. They don't charge more for weekends. I'd schedule the new door design, though, during the week. What the hell?
Yeah,
you
a
know.
little more convenient.
But if you want to go online, they do it that way, too. Precision Door, one word, precisiondoormn.com, or call Precision Door at 612-263-6985, John.
Thanks, Joe. In national and international news, officials in Mexico, Canada, and China speaking out after President-elect Trump said yesterday he would sign an executive order immediately after his inauguration, introducing a 25% tariff on all goods coming from Mexico and Canada and a 10% tariff on goods from China. The president-elect said the move, which appears to violate the terms of a free trade deal that Trump signed into law in 2020, is aimed at clamping down on drugs, fentanyl especially, and migrants crossing into the U.S. illegally. Mexico's finance ministry said in a statement the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, a trade pact that Trump sponsored during his first term, provided certainty for investors, said the response to one tariff will be another until we put at risk companies that we share. That coming from Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum. Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, Canada's most populous province, said the tariffs would be, in his words, devastating to workers and jobs in both the U.S. and Canada. And Liu Pengyu, a spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington, said no one will win a trade war or tariff war, and the idea of China knowingly allowing fentanyl precursors to flow into the United States runs completely counter to facts and reality.
John, may I interrupt?
Sure.
I want to return to that St. Paul Xcel Energy issue for just a moment, because the money is going to be used to create a climate change coordinator. You know who they create that climate change coordinator for? For each other, for their peers elsewhere. Because then they go to the legislative conferences and they have a checklist. Well, do you got a climate change coordinator? They dream up ways to make themselves more appealing to each other. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with the poor citizen stuck with the bill. It has nothing to do with that. So when they create a climate change coordination office, that's because other mayors and other city councils have done the same thing in other cities as the left continues to dismantle what once were really great, great cities in this country. These are playthings they create for each other.
It's an item on a checklist. You're right.
That's all it is. That's all it is. I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
No, wait, stop, John. And I hope you have a theory on this tariff theory. I have a feeling the other guys weren't listening. So, no, that wasn't a shot. Just stick with me a second. So, Trump wants to put this tariff in place. Let's just take Mexico as an example to stop the flow of fentanyl. Is he assuming that Mexico will hate the tariff and they will go out of their way to stop the illegal flow of fentanyl coming across the border?
If I may interject here, actually.
Yeah, I'm asking you, actually.
Oh, okay. In his broader statement, he's actually more worried about China with the fentanyl question.
Okay.
Because a lot of the fentanyl comes from China. And he thought he could put pressure on China to make sure the fentanyl doesn't get
so
to
that's
us.
The working theory. The tariff is going to inspire them to crack down.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and same with
right.
gangs, cartels, etc. In Mexico, he said they'd crack down, etc. Et
What a tremendous difference from the current administration, which has done nothing.
I like the fact that he's spitballing, but like a lot of the detractors said, a tariff war probably isn't going to help in the long run. But boy, something needs to be done. Mm-hmm. It's so bad.
Haiti's armed gang crisis just got worse and more complicated. A new report from the United Nations leading child welfare agency UNICEF says the number of children being recruited by the country's gangs has soared by 70% in the last year. The spike registered between the second quarter of 2023 and this year is another example of how children in Haiti, already kept out of school due to violence and rape by gangs, are increasingly being robbed of their childhood. A separate report by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime says that as the country finds itself trapped between escalating violence and political paralysis, criminal groups are taking advantage of the institutional collapse and political vacuum to expand their territories. A group of neo-Nazis who marched through the area in Ohio last month were not arrested, as police have wanted, because police determined they were not the aggressors in a fight that broke out. In body camera footage Columbus police released Monday, the neo-Nazis told police they had never experienced a response like the one they got in Columbus. They said people pulled guns on them and threw cans and vegetables at them as they marched, waved flags, and yelled racial slurs. One of the officers noted the men were covered in pepper spray. The November 16th march drew stern condemnation all the way from the White House down to the city council in Columbus, but no arrests were made. A group of black men organized a countermarch the next day following the same route in the short north of Columbus with a message of peace. In a statement, Columbus police previously said they could not find sufficient probable cause to file any charges against the neo-Nazis. This seems unadvisable. A video has surfaced of a man throwing what looks to be a cup of coffee at a bull elk at Evergreen Lake in Colorado.
What?
In the video, shot by Matt Roll, the man appears to be angered because the animal is on his path to work. Roll said he was trying to get to work, apparently, when all the action took place.
Is the guy an elf? He works out in the woods somewhere in a cottage?
The man in the video first yells at the elk. Then after the elk charges, he eventually tosses the beverage in the animal's direction. Roll said he was trying to get by the bull, and the bull wasn't having it. Nobody luckily was hurt in the encounter. A spokesperson for Colorado Parks and Wildlife said in general, visitors should not approach wildlife. Really? And that it is illegal to harass wildlife at any time. Roll says he hopes he doesn't have to witness such an interaction again. He says it's always in your best interest to give all wild animals enough space.
I believe in Fulda it's pronounced elg.
Elg.
Yeah.
Threw coffee at the elg.
You put through it. Yeah.
In Maryland, a mystery of sorts, a man recently made a remarkable discovery in the Chesapeake Bay area, an almost whole human skeleton that appears to be at least a century old, and it was in a coffin. NBC Washington reporting George Oliver, who lives in Calvert County, Maryland, walking the shores of the bay on November 4th, looking for fossils, as he usually does. That's when he spotted a coffin during low tide. Inside the coffin, a nearly whole human skeleton.
Oh.
Oliver told the station he could see the coffin, but that it was submerged mostly in water. He called the sheriff's department, which then called an archaeological society. Officials examined the remains in the coffin but did not remove any. Oliver took it upon himself to carefully remove the skeleton and dig up the coffin because he was worried about what might happen to the remains if he left them there. The station also reported that Oliver pieced the coffin back together himself. He said when he first found it, you could not tell there was human remains. You just thought it was full of beach sand. Oliver turned the remains then over to the Calvert County Sheriff's Office. Kelsey Ward, a crime scene technician with the Sheriff's Office, said that it's not rare to find human remains that are so old, but that to find an entire skeleton that is still intact is highly unusual. This, in fact, is not Oliver's first discovery of human remains. As I told you, he likes to walk and look. He likes to walk and look for fossils. He says he found a leg bone about 15 years ago near the same location.
Well, this is obviously climate change.
Right. Lowering seabeds and water lines. And
John, is he a city dweller? Does he live in a city?
I can't
I'm not
answer
letting
that,
this guy
can you?
babysit the kids.
Right. Right.
My thing is, if I find a coffin, the last person or people I'm going to call is the authorities. Number one, get rid of it somehow.
Just going to skulk away. Skulk
I
away.
think I'm skulking.
I didn't see anything.
I didn't see a damn
Get
thing.
the hell out of there. Or if you're a practical joker, load it up with your tractor and then bring it over to your buddies and dump it in his yard.
Right.
Let
Hey,
him
what do you
deal
got
with
out
it.
there?
The last people you want to call is law enforcement. Come on.
John, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the authorities think, given the condition of the coffin and the bones, looks to be at least 100 years old, but they say it remains a mystery where it may have come from.
People just don't know how to mind their own business.
Right.
No, they don't.
Right.
Thank you. Let's take a time out here.
what body?
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
All right, D.B. Cooper. This is the time of year
Oh,
for
yeah.
D.B. Cooper.
Is this when he made the jump?
No, it was November 24th. What's today, the 26th?
Six.
It was 2 days ago in 1971 that he made the jump. And what we're learning now is the children of D.B. Cooper, of a D.B. Cooper suspect, handed over new evidence to the FBI because they think their dad was the culprit.
Really?
Yeah, a parachute, long hidden on, excuse me,
You want me to finish that, TB?
a parachute long hidden on their family property in North Carolina is said to match the type used in the only unsolved skyjacking in U.S. history. So the kids, they turned over this parachute.
Two things. It either really is, or they're really working hard at trying to get their 15 minutes of fame.
Their dad was Richard McCoy II, and the kids believe he may have been D.B. Cooper. Just months before the Cooper incident, McCoy was convicted of an incredibly similar skyjacking that also included a parachute jump. His children, Shantae and Richard, have long thought the clues added up. But wait a minute, if the dad was convicted a month before...
After Joe.
Just after. I'm sorry, just after, yeah. They now have evidence to back up their suspicions. Shantae... That's horrible.
Yeah.
What the hell is Shantae? I mean,
That's a line, isn't it?
I don't know.
That's Chablis.
Shantae and Rick have kept quiet out of consideration for their mom, Karen, who they believe was potentially complicit in both crimes. But as both parents are now deceased, the opportunity arose for the siblings to come forward with their suspicions, and crucially, they seem to have hard evidence, a modified parachute that they, and amateur D.B. Cooper sleuth Dan Grider, believe was used in the daring escape. That rig is literally 1 in a billion, Grider told Cowboy State Daily.
There you go. Yippee-ki-yay, Mo.
After releasing a series on YouTube about his suspicions. It was the YouTube series, Grider said, that drew the FBI back to the case. The FBI now has the parachute and harness that were once tucked away in a storage shed on the family property in North Carolina, along with a harness and skydiving logbook that Shantae claims showed D.B. Cooper's movements near Oregon and Utah. Those were the locations of the two skyjacking events.
I see a shed and just a bad shoebox in the back in the upper corner that says parachute and logbook, but it's way in the back.
And is the door hanging on one hinge?
Yes, it's just beat up to hell.
After receiving the new evidence, the FBI followed up with the family and searched the property where the parachute was stored for 4 hours.
No,
4
40
hours.
years.
It says 4 hours with more than where the parachute was stored for 4 hours with more than a dozen agents. They were all standing around there for 4 hours.
Looking at the box.
This is the sleuth Grider saying this to the Cowboy newspaper. The unique alterations to the parachute may hold the key to the new evidence's value. The FBI knows the original parachutes were altered by Earl Cossey, a veteran skydiver who was working with the FBI until his murder in his home in 2013. If the new find matches what they already know, it could provide a boost in the search for the real D.B. Cooper. Well, the kids are telling you, FBI, you got him. He was this guy, their dad. Now the case, of course, has become mythical with countless theories.
Okay, but aren't they held accountable if they knew that there was this stuff and they clammed up because of Ma?
No, they're not. Can I tell you this?
Shut me down in court, didn't he? Sit down, Your Honor, I object.
Judge
Overruled.
Joe.
Overruled. Sit down.
Shut your mouth, witness.
Yeah. Here's the most interesting part of this story. What do you think a one-way ticket to Portland cost? Where did he board it?
I am going to guess it cost $18.52, Joe.
25.
Oh, I was 32.
I'm going 1852.
No, it's 1852 because that's in the story.
Well, it's fun to read along with Joe.
It is.
It was Northwest Orient back in the days when we had a real airline. Northwest Orient, gong, and then
Airline.
And that was Flight 305. Okay, he held a briefcase. We know all this stuff.
Here's. Are you done? Because I have some questions.
Okay.
Just a minute.
All right.
Somewhere still over Washington, Cooper opened the rear staircase, parachuted from the plane. We don't know the exact location.
How did he get the money again?
The airline went and got it for him.
Oh, okay. Small unmarked bills.
But having the actual parachute will expand the evidence in the case by vast amounts. McCoy is an intriguing suspect, one who was later passed over because many FBI personnel had come to believe that the real D.B. Cooper died in the jump by the time McCoy surfaced as a possibility. And McCoy didn't exactly match the physical description. He was younger, 27 at the time, than the original estimation of Cooper's mid-40s age. I think it's this guy.
No, McCoy, look at the pictures. McCoy, he's got Dumbo ears. They stick way out.
Ooh.
I'm only seeing a picture of...
DB?
Oh, yeah, the likeness, you mean, drawing
Yeah.
of DB?
Yeah.
He's got the big flapper ears there. You got the big listeners.
Here's my question. If you're smart enough to hijack a plane, get the money, jump out the back, are you telling me you're dumb enough to hide the parachute on your own property?
Sure. Would have got rid of that.
Sure.
How do you not get rid of that?
Nobody
somewhere?
looks in a shed.
What about the burning barrel?
No,
I mean,
nobody
just
looks in
burn
there.
it up.
McCoy was arrested by the FBI. He was convicted and sentenced to 45 years in prison. That was on the.
Well, McCoy was a boob.
But
He's a
eventually he
dumbbell.
broke out of a maximum security prison and evaded capture for 3 months
Like
until
I
he was
said.
shot in 1974.
Joe, like I said, McCoy was a genius.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
Couldn't DNA solve this? Well, maybe they don't have any. No, they can't. No, never mind.
They did find money years ago in it's either southern Washington or northern Oregon with serial numbers that match.
Yep.
Now, did you see the pictures of McCoy?
I only see this. The only thing offered to me was this.
Go look up some photos of him. It's not an uncanny resemblance, but definitely there's a resemblance.
You don't think it's the
to
real
drawings.
McCoy?
Oh, jeez.
No, Matt.
I did find this guy's YouTube channel, though, so I know what I'm doing after the show. Dan Greider.
You going down the rabbit hole?
Oh, yeah, I'm going deep, brother, deep.
No more has really been settled on that case than the famous film of the supposed Bigfoot in that part of the world. The one that's seen from a distance and is blurry.
How, as a group, Joe, were you going to say something, John?
No, I just said I think Bigfoot is blurry.
Yeah.
As a group, how do we feel about D.B. Cooper? Because I personally hope that he got away and he lived a nice long life and just really gave it to the man.
I can tell you in all honesty, what's always colored my thinking of this is he just got, it's $100,000. That's not worth the effort. To me, it was a measly amount of money, and I just didn't want it. It never intrigued me. If he got $10 million, I'm in. I'm going to think about it. But for $100,000, the guy's a moron. Jumped out of a plane for $100,000. Hell, you can find $100,000 walking down the street.
Yeah.
So the hell with it.
I'm going to let that stand.
Yeah.
What you just said says a lot about you.
That's right. I got my price for jumping out of an airplane, and it ain't $100,000, especially in the middle of the night in winter.
Mine
No,
is significantly less.
That's the equivalent of $755,000 today.
Not
So does
enough.
that
Not
make any
enough.
difference?
Not enough. Yes, you in the back.
I was going to offer that it's $750,000 in today's
That's still
dollars.
not enough. Not for that kind of weather he went out in.
Kenny,
No.
I think I'm going with your thoughts, Kenny, on this.
The other day, I don't remember if this was on the air or off the air, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, but Joe said, just as an aside, I don't think I've owned a car that's had over 30,000 miles on
Right.
it.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know this guy.
Well, that
I don't think I've ever owned a vehicle that has under 30,000 miles.
but I offered that maybe as an indictment of myself. I There's
What were
nothing
we
wrong. There
talking
were
about?
nothing wrong with the cars.
Oh, we were talking to Pat O'Gara, not O'Gara.
Royce.
No,
Garofalo.
Garofalo.
About the
Yeah,
Tesla.
190,000 miles on an electric junker.
that electric S-Cam.
On a toaster.
Just as a little difference in Joe and I, the car I own right now, I bought with 40,000 miles on it. So
I've purchased cars with that many miles on them.
Yeah, those British crap cans
Right.
are nothing to brag about.
Oil leaking. And
They're not crap
Odometers
cans.
have
They're
turned over 4 or 5 times.
oh, they're wonderful.
Oh, they're garbage. You know it.
98% of the MGs built are still on the road. The other 2% made it home. Boom, boom,
hey
boom.
now. Hey now. Do you use
Hey
that one
now!
Do you use that one at parties?
No, I've never
Get
used it
together?
before. I just read it the other
Got
day. Yeah. Only because they come to us all the way from the traveling Lymans in Cleveland, Ohio. It was on this day
Today, November 26th.
in 1849 the trouble began. The election, the first election for Minnesota county offices was held. She's been going downhill ever since. On this day
Today, November 26th.
in 1869,
Something about Fort Snelling.
as photographer Charles Zimmerman of St. Paul tried to capture frozen Minnehaha Falls, he was struck by an icicle that weighed several hundred pounds.
ouch.
He sustained severe bruises about the head, neck, and shoulders, but no bones were broken.
And he was treated at
And that
Fort
made
Snelling.
it. That made it to.
Why is that news?
That made it to this day in history.
I was hoping he was going to be impaled or something.
Yeah, or,
You'll shoot your eye out.
was
or
a camera.
permanently frozen into the falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
I don't know. You were like a caveman. Help me! You did Han Solo. You did Han Solo.
And finally, on this day,
We're talking November
Very
26th.
brief, thank you.
in 1922, cartoonist Charles M. Schultz, creator of Peanuts, was born in Minneapolis, so that would be 102 years ago.
Wow.
100 years ain't what it used to be. Charles Schultz was born on this day, and Charles Schultz was born on this
Real big
day in
Schultz.
1922.
Lived on
He was
James.
born in Minneapolis, but he lived in St. Paul because his old man was a barber on the corner of Selby and Snelling.
O'Gara's building.
Yeah.
A comic about clinical depression.
Oh,
The most depressing comic ever made.
the other one, the other day, Charlie went to Lucy, and the doctor is in.
Yeah.
And he said,
How much was it?
5 cents.
Okay.
I know nothing about the world. He was depressed. I know nothing about the world. Can you tell me something about the world? And she said something to the effect of, well, when you're going to get a drink of water, always rinse out the glass because there could be a bug in it.
Okay.
See, and
Things like that.
I appreciated that comic strip. I read it every day. I never read it when I was a kid.
When you completed that task, did you give Marmaduke a little glance?
Nope.
What was
I
Marmaduke
only
up to?
read Peanuts.
Antics?
What about Sergeant Snorkel?
No,
That crazy
High
Marmaduke.
and low?
I don't read anything except Peanuts.
Oh,
and on
pearls before
Sundays, I still
swine,
read
Joe. Come on.
Doonesbury because they're the new ones.
What about Steve Roper and Mike Nomad?
No.
I never got into that stuff.
No.
Spider-Man or whatever the... I like the Far Side. The Far Side was just top.
Far Side I read with religious fervor.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would again if it would come back. That was brilliant.
Yeah, he really was.
Dear Master, stay.
With the backwards
Yeah.
E.
We left
Or
in the
blah, blah,
we
blah,
took
Ginger.
the car into town.
Ginger, don't get in that trash. What Ginger hears? Blah, 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 Ginger. Blah,
Ginger,
blah, blah,
blah,
Ginger.
blah, blah.
Oh,
God.
Lordy. Well, tomorrow we got the big announcement. The Turkey of the Year award is coming into. We'll find out who won the Turkey of the Year with that neat trophy.
Yeah, well, I won't be here, so
You
I'll
won't.
have to go on YouTube.
You'll have to listen.
Check it out on YouTube.
You have to make. You probably have to make spaghetti or something tomorrow.
No, this is airport related.
Sure it is. None of us believe that. Rick.
Is the airport pretty busy? That's the news, at least.
It's going to be a madhouse.
I think Bert was right. The news would be if there was nobody at the airport. That would be newsworthy.
I got to go in at 3:30 in the morning tomorrow.
Oh,
That's an early
and
one.
work till when?
Till the crowd's gone.
That might be 3:30 the next morning.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope.
Thank you, GLers. We'll be here tomorrow for our festive pre-Thanksgiving show. Did Kenny already leave?
No, I was debating on whether or not I asked Matthew, your airport job, is that kind of like your job at GL where you just kind of show up and mix up a funny drink and
Pretty much. That's what my boss, Jack,
wing
would
it,
say.
sit-
Yeah.
sit
Jack
around
Simonet would say exactly that.
make quips? And
You guys are
Only
doing great.
podcast in America with an airport employee.
I'm telling you, it comes in handy every once in a while, doesn't it?
what if Matthew at his other job is really, really serious, a crack the whip kind of?
A savant. He
I
knows
happen to know.
everything.
I have some news for you. He is. He has to be because he hires and fires people.
How much you making out there, Matt?
Yeah, how much you make?
Like
What-
200K.
Oh,
That's
Are
more
you
than
hiring?
DB Cooper
Yeah.
got, the idiot.
Is it worth it?
It's worth it.
Need any help, bro?
Come on down. We'll start you out. $18 an hour.
You need employees?
Yes. Please come to work. This is a recruiting. We need early morning employees. I love retirees.
Really?
They show up
Hey.
every day without
I'm a
fail.
retiree.
Is there a place
4-hour
to park?
shifts. We pay for parking, yes.
you know what? That goes across the board, Matthew. Any company you go to right now, especially in retail, your retirees far more reliable than the younger generation.
Well, because they've worked.
This guy, Tim, we just hired him last week. He's had 3 shifts,
Yeah.
10 to 2. 10
Yep.
to 2, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And he loves it.
I bet he does.
He's-
Retirement
you know
will
what?
kill you.
He's got a place to go.
Yes.
He needs a place to go.
What did Bud Grant say?
A guy needs a place to go.
Everybody needs a place to go.
Yep.
I think I'm going to go to the can.
John, you have a
God.
place to go, but it's pretty close. It's
I
right
just
downstairs.
Walk down to the basement.
Right,
and
but
I'm
it's a place to go.
How was the commute today? John, pretty
John
good.
always has a good commute.
It's hard on my legs.
And Kenny, is that where you are? Is that on the grounds, on your grounds, your
I have
property?
a 100-yard commute that I drive
He drives
every day.
it. He drives it.
It's,
Why don't you walk off that
It's
canned
a-
salmon you've been eating?
it's a 3-minute round trip.
That's pretty good commute. I can't complain about mine, and I won't, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Word.
To your mother.
Hey, GLers. Thank you for joining us. And join us on YouTube every day starting about noon, more or less. We're live, noon to 1:30-ish, whenever the mayor decides. You can also subscribe to The Daily Logician at GarageLogic.com.
That's power. Whatever the mayor decides.
That's right. Subscribe to The Daily Logician for updates, the latest, and you can always join the town council for exclusive behind-the-scene access. You don't have to sit through the commercials on YouTube. If you join the town council, hear what we're talking about behind the scenes, the dirt, the dish. Get it every day. GarageLogic.com, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Now, what do other YouTube shows do?